Frampton, who's a survivor of child abuse, and Joshua Rosenberg, legal commentator. Oops, and there's your phone. Give it to me for a second, we'll get rid of it. Yeah. There you go. There.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Phil, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Finally, then, this inquiry gets underway, but not really fully because it doesn't have a chair.
Morning. I think it's a mess. Many survivors think it's a mess. First, we should be clear, the inquiry came about because of the allegations of high-level establishment cover-ups and involvement in abuse. And David Cameron then said to the public, no stone will be left unturned. But then suddenly the inquiry was to go into the whole issue of child abuse in Britain. When the media exposed the expenses scandal amongst MPs, we didn't see suddenly a whole study of fraud in Britain. It was focused on the MPs. Parliament focused on the MPs, and they took the MPs to court, and many of them are in jail. And that's what we want to see now, is justice, a clean-up of the establishment. This isn't just about survivors. This is about people of Britain. It's about your children, our grandchildren, being able to live in a society where they feel they're being protected and not other people being protected who want to use and abuse them.
Joshua, let's sort of look at what it's got to do, because we just get a sense there of the scale of this, don't we? So where's the focus going to be?
Well, that's the real problem. The focus has to be on the person who's chairing it, and it's a headless inquiry at the moment. It's not the Butler-Sloss inquiry, not the Fiona Woolf inquiry. The panel inquiry, as Theresa May, the Home Secretary, calls it, is going to meet for the first time today, and it will meet every week until Christmas, and it will hold public meetings and so on. But it's very difficult to get a focus, not least because the terms of reference are very broad. They go back 30 years. They cover all sorts of different departments, all sorts of different areas of public life. Theresa May was under pressure to make it narrower. She said she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't make it wider either, but it's still very, very broad.
In the absence of documentation of the relevant documents, so it's very hard to prove any case at all. The Home Secretary yesterday saying, well, there's no evidence yet that there was a cover-up, but she said, I can't stand here and tell you that there wasn't. And do you think an inquiry is going to get us any closer than that?
The whips, the Tory whips, the Labour whips, the Liberal whips, some of them have even said that they covered up abuse to protect MPs in return for votes. The Home Office has not replied to the allegations that they funded the paedophile information exchange. We'd like to know why that was the case. There are many people who can be brought to the dock on this. That's why it needs to be a statutory inquiry.
So your view is that there are specific questions that you can get specific answers for, regardless of the fact that documents have gone missing?
Yeah. We have to bring the people to book. We have to bring the Leon Brittans of the world to book.
The Wanless inquiry, which reported yesterday, found no evidence to support that claim. This was an inquiry into an inquiry into what the Home Office had done. They couldn't say conclusively that evidence didn't exist, but as you say, Bill, they couldn't say that it was. They said there was nothing to support a concern that files had been deliberately or systematically removed or destroyed. We found nothing to support a concern the Home Office had failed to identify individual allegations of child abuse. And Theresa May is asking for further inquiries by the team that reported yesterday, but she's stuck without the files.
And just briefly, Phil, just on a sort of personal note, do you know whether survivors will be able to give evidence?
We understand that survivors will be able to give evidence, but what are we talking about here? There's an estimated 10 or 11 million survivors in this country.
Right.
So where do you start? No stone unturned? There's 11 million stones to unturn. It's about, in particular, representatives of survivors who've demonstrated, like the people at the National Association for People Abused in Care, abused in childhood. It's about such representatives being given the time to speak, to take up the issues.
Right, yes.
Very briefly, Joshua.
Crucially, Theresa May has got to win the support of people like Phil. If she can't do that, then the inquiry is going nowhere.
Okay. Gentlemen, sorry, we're out of time. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is just coming up to 7:45. You're watching Breakfast on BBC News. Our main story this morning.